everybody, and welcome to this edition of Sports Talk. I'm Jimmy Allinder, and I'm being joined this afternoon by the Supervisor of Athletics for East Brunswick High School, Frank Noppenberger. Frank, we're going to take a look at the winter sports season just concluded, and welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. We'll tell you in a minute, it's not all completed. There's still a few people alive, but before we get started, I'd like to just thank you and Megan and everyone else volunteered their time, and Channel 3 for broadcasting these games. I know the parents, the coaches, and the athletes do appreciate it, and it's a great thing for them. They keep those tapes forever, but so on their behalf, I thank you and Channel 3.
And I must say that I do actually hear from the parents a lot.
I bet you do.
No, I think in a very positive way. They're very complimentary of the coverage that we provide, and that's one of the real pleasures of doing this job. And you're right, they are very forthright in letting me know or making suggestions on pronunciations and things like that.
Well, I'm used to that, having Noppenberger, but you know, Channel 3, they even go the extra yard when another station tapes an event. They get it, like they did that for the wrestling conference champions. They got that. They helped the football team out with some tapes, so they go above and beyond, just like you guys.
Well, the credit goes to Pete Kennemessa and Dave Ambrosi and the rest of the production crew for making that happen, and I know that's the same feeling that they have regarding just putting East Brunswick on the map and doing what they can. It's
good.
So enough of the accolades, and let's talk about the winter season. As you say, there's a few more games left, but I wanted to begin by asking you, you probably had a sense of how this winter season might move along, and what team you think, or what sport overachieved this winter?
Overachieved. You know I'm not going to answer that because whatever I do, I'd be right or wrong. But there's a few. The surprises were the bowling teams that just the biggest surprise is just concluded their season being 4th or 5th in the entire state in bowling. The boys bowling team were sectional champs and conference champs, and that's quite a challenge. The winter track teams, we got 5 athletes advance into the Tournament of Champions this Sunday, running at Jadwood Gym at 2 o'clock. I don't know, the cheerleaders took a 2nd in their competition, or a 3rd, I should say.
Do you want to go through the whole?
No, I just, overachieved, who overachieved?
You don't have to answer the question. We're going to touch on every sport.
I believe they've all met or exceeded their expectations.
Interesting. So that means that there is no team that maybe did not meet expectations, in your opinion?
Yeah, I'm very confident saying that. I think the coaches, without a doubt, always gave their effort, and the kids, same thing. See, they reflect one another. The kids see the coach's effort, and then they get involved. That hard work, it all permeates to one another, and it's the enthusiasm and the hard work's contagious. I'm not just telling you that, I see it every day. We had a great winter.
Yeah.
We had a great winter.
Yeah. You touched on bowling. The team performed very, very well. Have you had an opportunity to get over to Carolier Lanes and watch this team? And if you have, take me through what goes on during a high school match.
Well, Mr. Murphy and I are a principal. We were over there today for the state championships.
Ah.
The parking lot was jammed. You could not get in. I had to park across the street at Carolier. You could not get in. Every school that's in the state tournament was there, and their parents. And the parents, it starts at 9. The parents are there at 7:38, setting up like tailgating spots right behind the alley they're bowling at, and they bring their food and their cupcakes and their chips, and they sit there and they just sit and they watch the bowling just like you would see professionally on TV. And there's risers in for the tournament too for all the spectators. And it's just a great atmosphere, hundreds and hundreds of kids participating, and there's no referees, and so there's no hollering. Every comment you hear is positive from the parents to the kids. There's no blaming, there's no finger pointing, cards, whistles, or any of that. It's a great atmosphere. They're athletes, Some people say, it's bowling. Well, the Adam Pulaski kid's also a baseball player for us, and he used to play basketball. So there's a kid that could do a lot of sports who's also just still doing bowling. So it's not that they're just bowlers, but it's a tremendous atmosphere. So here's what happens. The bus picks them up from the high school, takes them there. They warm up for a couple frames or a couple balls, and then everything's done by computer. And the boys will bowl on this alley, the girls will bowl on this one. Their scores are printed up ahead of them. It's the best 2 out of 3 in a high game, so you can end up getting a tie, as a matter of fact. And you know where it's going. The coach can substitute after the game, not during the game, kind of like a tennis. And it's just a great atmosphere. And we have the coach, I'll know he'll be coach of the year, Jeff Elias, for the conference, the local papers, and maybe even the Star Ledger. He's just done a great job. 2 teams in the top 5 in the state. I think we're the only school there, as a matter of fact, with that.
You described what happened during the tournament time. Is it safe to say that they don't get a lot of notoriety during the regular season?
The news media coverage is
but
not
I mean, as far
up
as
there.
fan participation, do they charge for these things?
No, they don't. Same parents are there all the time.
Right.
I see the Pulaskis there all the time. I mean, I'm not even sure if they work. I'm sure they work, but whenever I go, they're there. It's very positive atmosphere, as I said. The parents of all the bowlers are there, and you get there around 3:45, and they're leaving around 5:30 to come home.
So, say somebody in the school system that's in 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, I would imagine that there's opportunities available for some of the kids to get involved in leagues now, so that as they track along, they can improve their skills and perhaps play for the high school one day.
I think that's what it is. I think it's a family thing. A lot of these kids that are on the bowling team, their family has been involved, so the brothers and sisters are involved, and they do have leagues in all bowling alleys. That's why Woodbridge and Brick are real good powers, because I guess bowling is big in their community, and there's a lot of bowling alleys, and if your family's involved, you're going to get involved. And like the Serranos, they were all involved forever as far as bowling at East Brunswick.
It's fun.
But it's a great atmosphere.
Yeah. As long as we're talking about bowling, let's touch on, you mentioned Jeff Elias as the coach of the year for the team that finished actually with a 27-2 record. And the girls bowling team finished 19-7. You want to mention some other names?
I'll mention some names, but the boys were the Winter Classic champions. They were Central Jersey Group 4 champions, and they were also the conference champions, which is a great season for them. They were never the favorites, and as we speak today, they were number 1 in the state. I don't think they won the state championship today. They'll probably end up 3, 4, maybe 5 in the state. But you can't take the championships away from them. The girls also qualified for the state, and they ended up number 4 or 5. They didn't win any titles, but they were right knocking on the door. The interesting thing about the bowling is Coach Elias got a nice mix in there. You got Adam Pulaski, who's a leader, 11th grader. Matthew Hage, who was top 4 in the state last year, he's a sophomore. Jose Seriano is a senior, so he's provided a good example for the younger kids. And Jeremy Simonino is also a 10th grader. So there's a nice group of underclassmen there. And the girls, Marissa Della Valle is a 10th grader, and Dana Torek is a 12th grader. So he's got a nice program going, and for a while we were struggling with getting girls involved with numbers, and now he's got it going. There's cuts made. It's competitive. You can't just go there and say you're going to make the team.
Wow.
But congratulations to the bowlers, the parents, and the kids on a great season.
Okay. Well, let's move to boys basketball. Of course, Bo Henning, who seems to have been there forever.
18 years.
Almost as long as you have been athletic. No,
yeah, it is. He replaced me.
He replaced you, right. Okay. I thought that this might be the team that you would say did not meet the expectations with a 10-12 record. Only reason I say that is because when I first talked to Bo at the beginning of the season, he told me that, I asked him how the team was going to be this year, and he says, this is going to be a good bunch. This is going to be a good group. Now, I was assuming that he meant in terms of wins and losses. Maybe he didn't mean that. Maybe it was the makeup of the team. What's your thoughts?
Well, he loves this team. He's told me many times he couldn't understand. These kids worked hard every day in practice. They cooperative. They were just did everything he asked, and he would get frustrated when we didn't win the game. And I'd say, the other team's better than you, Bo. And, he couldn't accept that, but they're good kids and they work hard. I said, they're supposed to be good kids and you're supposed to work hard. I don't think we were a real talented team. Sometimes we didn't play with confidence. No excuse, but we had a big guy not play for us. I would have pounded on the boards. So
Aaron Horace.
Right, Aaron Horace, who was also missed from the football. He could have made a difference for us. But kids like Josh Sims and Monaseski, Kevin Mott and Ricky Lasky, they left everything out on the floor. Danny Fessel, they gave their best all the time. We played everybody tough. We came up short a lot. I thought we'd be in around 500, just where we were. I don't think we lost any game we should have, except maybe that last game. Every other loss we had were the better teams. We did have a couple upsets. Our two of our better players, Tom Gadziala and John Byrne, John, who was an all-division player, they'll be back next year. And McCloskey, who had a buzzer beater against Carteret, big upset, he'll be back at the point guard with a pretty good JV club. So we'll be all right next year. We don't have a dominating big man, which is going to hurt you. You need a big man. If you're going against schools with 7-footers and 6-8ers, you're hurting, and you play them twice. We just don't have the big guy down there. But Bo is by far the best coach in the county. And that's not taking anything away from my buddy Kenny Pace at Colonia. But without a doubt, A to Z, he's the best.
So you're very pleased with the way the program is going. I was going to ask you that. With the lack of a big man and some of the non-public schools can draw from other areas, so it seems like the well never gets dry.
Right.
Whereas you're always fighting that uphill battle. Are you comfortable with the way the situation is in terms of?
You mean as an athletic director? How I see that?
Yeah, I'm trying to phrase it in a more positive way, but go ahead.
I see eventually something to the effect that maybe the public schools will have their own league schedule, like the NJIL up in North Jersey and the Shore, and the parochials will have their own. The Shore Conference, let's call it the Red Division, the Shore Conference has a parochial school there, and it dominates.
CBA.
Oh, you said it. They can compete, but they're going to be the Red Division winner in basketball, but they'll also be a public school winner in the division in basketball. And they're okay with that. I could see that happening somewhere soon, or putting all the parochial schools in one division and having them play each other. They can still compete for the championship, but they'll have their own division. That's how the NJIL, that's Bergen Catholic, Bosco, and St. Joe Montvale.
Sure.
That's what they have in those sports. So I could see that change happening soon.
Okay. Did you want to mention any other basketball players?
No, I got them all.
Okay, good. I'll tell you what, I was very impressed with the improvement in the girls basketball program this year. It seemed like last year, Katie Whalen, who was in her first season after taking over for Reggie Carney, who was in the papers this week for his legacy, the team finished 15-8, but beyond that, I sense a more confident air.
Well,
what do you think?
We have a game this Friday in the state. This Monday in the state tournament at 7 o'clock against Middletown North. We can beat them. We're at home. It's still a very, very young team. Last year we were young. This year we're still very young. Not excuses, but again, no big people, no big man. When you look at the other schools like Piscataway or Perth, you got a 6-foot center or a 6'3" center. We don't have that big person. We're a guard team. We're quick. We're going to press, which is reminiscent of the old Carney teams. But I thought they would be where they're at. I was hoping we'd be able to sneak a couple upsets here and there, but we didn't. The team that beat us in the conference, Woodbridge, we beat them once. They beat us maybe the more important time at our place, but I don't think we lost anyone that we shouldn't have. There was no one out there that was better than us. There was no one that upset us, and that's a sign of a club, a good club. If you don't lose, if you don't get upset, right? The seniors, you got Erin Whalen, that's been around forever, Lauren Dudra and Michelle Mariski. They provided quiet leadership that the team needed, because you got a freshman like Candace Green who's starting. It's awkward for a freshman to come in at a red division and take control like she did, and she did a great job. And her best days are certainly ahead of us, and she's going to be a force in the next 3 years. Right. Megan Mayo's only a junior, who can score points for us. You got Laura Petriello, who's also a junior. So those two seniors, after playing 3 years of varsity next year, are going to make them much better. And that's not even talking about Jessica Campbell, who may be our best athlete out there on the court. So the girls are good. 14 and 15 and 8. Maybe we're going to win another one. I don't think they underachieved at all.
Quite correct.
They played an exciting brand of basketball. They upset J.P. Stevens, who's going to play for the conference championship.
Right. And I guess you could predict that the boys and girls winter track team, boys coached by Kevin McAvoy, girls coached by Brian Merrigan, 6-1, 8-0 respectively. You could have predicted that, though. Well, there's some quality here.
It's interesting on that record, Jim. I was talking before about our dedicated coaches. The conference, in their infinite wisdom, and I'm part of the conference, so it's not a complete knock on them, they did away with the dual meet schedule, East Brunswick versus Monroe, or East Brunswick versus Edison. Me and the coaches said, we need this. We're not just going to run invitational meets for the elite athlete. What about the JV level kid that needs to run, or the young varsity kid? So we went out and scheduled those dual meets against other schools, with Petty, with Edison, with Stevens, with St. Joe's, to give these kids the experience to run. So although that record is an indication of the won and lost, it's an unofficial, because it didn't count as a true dual meet. But as far as we're concerned, that's where it was. Like I said, we have 5 kids running in the Tournament of Champions this weekend down at Jadwin Gin. Greg Bull, who is the 800-meter champion in the conference, qualified in the Tournament of Champions in the 1600. That just shows his versatility in those two events. Kyle Grady, who you talk about a most improved athlete as a sophomore, you said, boy, the kid works hard, and hopefully he'll keep working hard and maybe earn a letter or so, or a couple meets. Well, he's turned into a conference champ, and he's turned into a Tournament of Champion contender this week in the hurdles. Danny Gilbert's an outstanding junior runner. Justin Granite is a very good soccer player, who also qualified in the 1600 for the Tournament of Champions. Did I say Danny Granite? Justin Granite. Justin's going to have to make an interesting choice next year about playing soccer or running cross country. I'm not trying to put pressure on him, but he could be one of the top cross country runners in the county next year, or maybe the best, or he can play soccer and be a very good soccer player. So they were the stars of that boys running track team. But there's another man, Dan Mulcahy, who's there every day, Jim. Works his tail off, does everything he's supposed to do, just doesn't perform, and doesn't meet up to the other players' abilities. Right. But I felt I needed to mention him, because that's what sports is about. Not everyone's going to be the superstar. And when you look in the audience and you see the parent of the second string quarterback, or the fifth string tight end, or the kid that's never getting in the basketball game, or the track kid that runs the sprint in the sub-varsity, and say, wow, look at that mom and dad out there supporting their son, even though they know the kid's not going to get in. So I admire that in the way Danny's worked his butt off. I mean, he ran and he was good. Girls winter track. Brittany Hahn, our senior sprinter, Tournament of Champion in the 255, so she'll be competing in that. And Vicky Krupnik in the 800, she was a conference champion, also competing in the T of C. And what's good is these guys, boys and girls, are going to take all this, Jim, and then bring it into the spring season, so we should have a pretty good spring season.
Okay, great. That is the track program, and a very successful one, and it seems like everything is, on track. Now, let's just avoid that. All right, let's go to the pool. Gnex. Okay, the boys finished with a 7-4-1 record. The girls finished with a 5-7 record.
Yeah. I mean, 5-7. You're saying, well, they qualified for the states,
right?
And to qualify for the states, you've got to be good by quality points. Mm-hmm. The reason they were 5-7 is they swam the best teams around: Metuchen, Hillsborough, Bridgewater, Bishop Bar. We're going to play everyone every time. To be the best, as we said many times, you got to beat the best. So although their record may be 5-7, they're in the top 20, top 25 in the state. Mm-hmm. They're that good. And the boys, again, they're in that tough Central Jersey bracket with St. Joe's and the Bridgewater and the Hillsboroughs and the West Windsor. But we finished second in the conference. We qualified for the state again. And they only take 8. It's not 500 record. You only take the top 8. So they had a real good season with Coach Pell and Coach Gnex. Ryan Martinetti, who's going to go to LaSalle, he's qualified for the state championships. Tom Narwart had a great season for us. Steve Schreier, Brian O'Sullivan. Mm-hmm. 4 seniors that set the tone about the work ethic, and you talk about a routine going over there every day. Mm-hmm. Girls, Lauren Shiner and Kristen Wong, 2 seniors, did a great job for us. Underclassmen, we got Catherine Zavoda, who did a great job. She's a 10th grader, and Jen Flug, 9th grader, could be one of the best ever that comes out of East Brunswick, female swimmer.
Okay, we'll pay attention to her.
Good.
All right, let's move on to wrestling. Coached by Glenn Pazinko. How many years has Glenn been the head coach?
All right, I'm going to guess 18. I'm going to say 16 years. We've had 2 conference championship teams under him. Mm-hmm. I bet you 8 to 10 individual champions. Mm-hmm. We had 2 this year, Corey Richings and John Park. Mm-hmm. And they got a nice chance to move on to state tournament play. The districts, or this weekend down at Friday and Saturday at South Brunswick. Mm-hmm. We got a shot at the district championship.
Oh, you usually do?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
A couple kids have to wrestle up a little bit. I don't mean in weight class, but maybe have a couple upsets.
Yeah. Do you pay much attention to the individual record of 7-6, or is it more a sport where the team takes more? They're happy about winning district championships and regional championships and things like that.
Well, it's like the NC2A people say, and a lot of the college people say, we're playing now for March. I mean, we're not scheduling for districts or conference because we do want to qualify for the state. But, we wrestle South Plainfield. We don't have to. There's state champs every year. We don't have to. Old Bridge, another state runner-up. So we wrestle anybody. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you wish you didn't because you knew you don't match up with them. But, we beat Hillsborough the other day, a Group 4 school who's pretty good. So we have the wrestling program's solid. The rec program does a great job. Mm-hmm. Matt Pazinko, our 8th grade wrestling coach, is super with the kids down there, maintaining their interest in developing. But with Coach Pazinko, Shateri, Scanlon running the program at the high school, and we're okay. We're gonna continue to be as good as we are.
Okay, I must tell you, telecasting the basketball games, it never ceases to amaze me, the cheerleaders, and I know they do other sports as well, but you see them at halftime, do their routines, at timeouts. I almost think they're going to take some of the paint off the ceiling by how high the girls are tossed.
I'm a little concerned about that. They find the littlest girl and they throw her up there. So we got to think about that one.
Yeah. But coached by Michelle Sperduto. Right. And always doing a wonderful job. You want to mention any of the girls' names?
No, but I do have to mention Coach Chris Yanazzo, who I left out of the wrestling staff. I don't want Chris getting it. He's one of my favorites. Cheerleading, they never get the recognition. Mm-hmm. Just of late, we started to go into competition, and it's a whole different ball game, the competition. But they had one down this year. We went down this year and competed and took a 3rd, I believe, in the competition. And the kids looked great. The parents were there cheering. We had a lot of faculty members there. Debbie Mangino came down with her family. And it's their own competition, and it's great to see our girls so into it. 4 of the seniors, Steve Cormier, Brian Passachow, Nicole Galucci, and Lindsay Malchek, I want to thank them for everything they've done for the cheerleading along with Coach Sperduto program this year.
Okay, and of course all of this does not happen without the able watch of Phil Hostler, the trainer, and the student trainers
Phil
as
and
well.
his kids, Elena, Matt, and Callie, you did a great job for us this year, working with your teams, and everyone appreciates it. I know you don't get as much recognition as you would like, or that you should get, but we know how important it is for you to be there, and thank you.
Right. And in the minute that we have left, let's just quickly talk about the spring season. Anything that comes to mind that's 1 minute's not going to do it.
Well, one won't do it, but we've got we were Group 4 state champs in tennis, and so Coach Pell's getting ready for that. And volleyball, Coach Rutz is very confident that our volleyball team's going to be contender. That's what I'm going to put out there in public.
Okay.
Baseball, we got a kid who's getting a lot of attention in the major leagues from Major League Scouts, Chris Affinito. We got Matt Metchett, shortstop, who's already going to go to York College, I believe, to play baseball.
Really?
So, we're going to be okay in baseball. Softball, we're solid.
Yeah. You mentioned Chris. Seton Hall?
He is committed to Seton Hall.
But that doesn't mean he's going to go there.
Correct.
Okay.
I'm sure if someone flashes money in front of them, just like when NBC comes to you, Jim, and asks you to host sports for $2 million a year,
that
you'll
is
have to think
laughable.
about the million you get here from Channel 3 rather than go there. So that's a decision that I'm sure he and his parents will have to sit down and make. You get some money to sign as a pro, or do you go to Seton Hall?
Yeah.
It's a very difficult choice, as much as Danny Fessel had to make about he's going to Drexel to play lacrosse. He could have played football at some schools.
I think he would.
So in Johnny Park, the colleges, the Ivies would love him to play football there. Maybe at 150.
Sure.
So the sprint football,
I know
what
what you
call
mean.
it.
Yeah.
So it's very tough decisions on these kids.
Okay. Well, overseeing all of this, of course, is Frank Noppenberger, and I want to thank you and I'm sure the folks in East Brunswick want to thank you for the great job that you continue to do year in and year out. I know for a fact this is one of the premier sports programs in the state of New Jersey on the high school level. So that's going to do it for this edition of Sports Talk. For Frank Noppenberger, this is Jimmy Allinder saying thanks for being with us.